which encompassed no less than 127 lands. Its capital was a town called Tucson, and in Tucson City was a magnificent royal place where old King Ahasuerus lived in the lap of luxury. Although quite adept at conquering and pillaging more than anything else, the king excelled at one thing in particular: throwing wild parties and having fun.
Oh, the wonderful thing about cases. Our cases are wonderful things. On their tops they wear little crowns, on their fingers they are distinctive rings. Their fears near you, fear. Fun, 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 fun. But the most wonderful thing about cases, I'm the only one.
Yes, King Ahasuerus had a great time indeed, and in order to make sure that his kingdom ran smoothly, he hired the services of numerous ministers, advisors, and all-around sycophants. This merry band of straw feeders did the king's bidding and advised him as best they could. But there was one particularly ambitious minister who constantly pushing himself onto the king, stepping on anyone in his way. Using his plot of subterfuge, he scratched his way by picking order and still was not satisfied. So for his next move, he thought of a way to appeal the king's basic sense of greed.
Well, I'm the king's main advisor. I'm the royal vizier. I've reached the top but haven't stopped, so listen to what I'm saying. I want to be a king. When I stretch my leg in town, when I walk by, all through the fly, I want to see them all bow down. I'll make the Jews pay their dues too.
The king took off his signet ring and gave it to Haman. Satisfied that it would bring in more than enough taxes to pay for another swinging 6-month party, Haman however didn't limit the use of the ring to impose a new due tax. No, Haman began to enact all sorts of edicts to subjugate and the people and inflate his already exploding ego. One such edict that particularly pleased him was that all would be forced to bow down before him whenever he walked by. He was having a great time of it until he discovered that one of his upstart rebels had the courage not to bow down to him. He quickly discerned the identity of this cat, and his passionate thirst for vengeance was swift.
Now down the old Mesopotamia, where the Ahasuerus reigned, I built myself an Anathemium, of my calendars, I have all the people bow to me, as in theory. But once he refused to bow, that idiot, Morty the Jew. Oh, Morty the Jew, something won't give up. He's Morty the Jew, I get a place, he's an upright stand Jew. I come here of our country king and told him about my planet. He does me gave him the ring. And said to me, you need the man. I gave, so I've cast the lot just to be a day. You know what I'm going to do? I'll wipe my enemies, make them pay, but most of all, Morty the Jew.
Meanwhile, back in the castle, the king had been having a bit of marital trouble when his queen, Vashti, lost her head and over a perfectly simple request to make a natural public appearance on Natural, that is, needing a new queen to replace her. The king declared that all eligible maidens were to be brought to the palace for auditions. Each young maiden would be cloistered in the harem and wait months or even years until her special moment came just to impress the king. Mordecai, the self-respecting and God-fearing Jew, had a poor young orphan cousin whom he had adopted and named Hadis. When the call was declared, he knew there was no choice, so he changed her name to Esther and hid her identity of what presented herself to the royal harem guard. Before she left, however, he gave her a bit of advice.
When you join the king's harem, meet all kinds of girls, give a little out his squirrel, so give a little whistle. Toot, toot, give a little whistle. Don't get caught up with those things you want to know. Just close your eyes and then look up and blow. And when at last the day comes to be brought before the king, give a little whistle. Tweet, tweet. Give a little whistle. Tweet, tweet. And always let Hashem be your guide.
I'll always let Hashem be my guide.
While biding her time, and in the king's harem, Esther became quite popular and a personal favorite of the royal manager. Since she was so caring, she would often help the cleaning staff, even with the most difficult chores. She was cleaning out of the fireplace, thus earning her nickname, Cinder Esther. While she waited, Esther dreamed of her big moment.
I'm wishing to be the one who loves and chooses me today. I'm hoping to wear the crown of God on my heart today.
When Esther's turn to appear before the king arrived, little orphan Esther in her ragged clothes wasn't in the least worried that she didn't have a proper gown or nice shoes to wear for the occasion. In fact, she rejected all of the fineries and pumpkin coaches that were suggested from her to use. No, she would go in her self-confidence alone.
I'll wear the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about the makeup and my lights. I said the bare necessities, we made them go activities. And I wear the bare necessities tonight. The bare necessities I thought will seem to do. The bare still seem to do.
Esther entered the royal court with poise and grace. As she stayed across the floor, the king was stupefied. Well, actually, he was usually pretty stupefied, but that's not the point. Esther's beauty was intoxicating, even for one used to be intoxicated. And King Ahasuerus was smitten.
This is a night, unlike all of your kids, who will call it Esther night. In the dim light, the most beautiful sight. It's like gorgeous Esther milkshake. My heart will taste like a smile so bright. Lovely Esther milkshake.
Making clear what he wanted and getting it too, Esther was different. The king hesitated as he never had before.
There is Esther sitting right across the room. I know what I would like to do, but there's something about her another I'd like. But her I would die to merely kiss her. Only kiss her.
Well, Esther's gamble paid off. The king was so astounded by Esther that he declared the search over and ordered that Esther be set up as the new queen of the land. Esther was overwhelmed and looked forward anxiously to the royal treasure she was about to receive.
I'm gonna be the greatest queen that Shushan's ever had. Not just the cutest ever seen. I'm the gosh, be good, not bad. I'll start to get things done my way, and for my folks I'll save the day. No more unfair Jew tax, no more degradation in town, no more calls for a tax. No pain and slaying bow down. I'm gonna bring around the king. I'll have to fix up everything. A new era is beginning. Oh, I just can't wait to be queen.
Well, Esther quickly adapted to royal life in the palace. The rich food and fine clothes were enough to make anybody happy. But one day, a trusted servant saw Mordecai in clothes that were against the rules. Not wanting to see him arrested or even worse, to feel embarrassed herself, she sent an urgent message to the servant of Mordecai to desist in life not regardless of Haman's increasingly oppressive and life-threatening decrees, but he simply could not comply.
Closing our schools and bowing down rules and all kinds of things are cruel. Together on what have we got? A crotchety crotchety Jew. And this day, toward me, there may have been young, no name, great boy. Like all this service, I have to remain a crotchety crotchety Jew. like just isn't me. I'm a crotchety, crotchety Jew. If Esther can plan to take down Haman. This is me, a bippity-boppity Jew.
But the more depressed and hopeless Mordecai felt, the more Haman delighted in his evil plan.
Poor fortune. So sad. So cruel. Obviously, he got down on his knees and wanted to cry and break them. It's like, those poor fortune. So sad. What's true? If Mordecai had dropped me enough to listen to the tune, making him over, now it's actually but he's so stubborn. You know what I'm going to do?
Mordecai sent a message back to Esther. The time had come to act. There was little time, and he was his people only hope. He implored her to go to the king to overturn Haman's evil decree. Esther reluctantly agreed to trepanently try to steal herself before approaching the throne. For she was the punishment for approaching the king uninvited was death.
I must remember, I am the queen now, the one he chose above all others, and he is my husband. Ba'ali, yes, Ba'ali. Well, hello, Ba'ali. Yes, hello, Ba'ali. It's so nice to see you up there on the throne. You're looking great, Ba'ali, as I am prostrate, Ba'ali. Raise your staff up to me rather than having her.
Whoa! That is not a Disney song.
It's not?
No! Definitely not. That is from Broadway.
Oops, sorry.
Let's try that again. Esther approached the king after he graciously held out his golden scepter. Just the mere sight of Esther was enough to make the king swoon. One look in her eyes and he was lost. Esther may have had a plan and up her sleeve, but the king couldn't have cared less.
He passed my country, let's say. They'll tell me Esther did it. Ever makes it cute. I'll give you half my royal empire. Just tell me what's your desire, and I'll give it to all. Half of my world, I'll gladly share it all with you. 'Cause when you smile at me,
Esther coyly made the most humble of requests that the king and Haman join her for a special banquet that he had planned just for the two of them. The king, with a twinkle in his eye, passed the word on to Haman, and looked forward to it with anticipation. When the two of them arrived, Esther had laid out a spread that couldn't be beat.
Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest. Give your weary head a rest. Just sit back and get relaxed, and let Queen Esther do the rest. Have some food, have some wine. Soon you will be feeling fine as I lay out a display of all the best on the shoe dine. Plate by plate, tray by tray, until enough you want to say. But then I'll bring out the dessert you can't resist. So come on, let's chow down. It's the best meal in town. So be my guest, be my guest, be my guest.
The banquet was a roaring success. The king retired to his bedroom, soused and satisfied. Haman headed home, skipping down the streets in delight. At his ever-rising status, the king and now the queen also, life was grand indeed. And best of all was the wonderful vengeance he was wreaking upon his arch enemies.
Excuse me, Esther really likes me. It's true. It's actual. Her private banquets are satisfactory.
That night, wait. for his royal bedtime storytellers to bring him a glass of water and tell him a nice story with a happy ending from the Book of Chronicles. They read to him about the time two evildoers plotted to kill the king, but then a really loyal subject, Mordecai, foiled their plans and saved the day. When the king inquired how his hero was repaid, they were rather embarrassed to explain there was no recompense having given. Meanwhile, Haman had just returned from the palace because he wanted the king's permission to do away with Mordecai once and for all on the tall gallows he had just built.
Now that I've got the king's trust, now that I can make him lick the dust, since I can't make him lick the dust, I'll make him fly. Make him fly.
The king preempted him, however, and posed a hypothetical question regarding now best to honor someone the king really admired. Not imagining there could possibly be anyone that the king would wish to honor more than himself, Haman suggested that such a person should be dressed in royal finery and paraded around town of royal mounts. To utter shock and dismay, the king immediately ordered Haman to do this with none other than his nemesis Mordecai.
Who's he leading through the town for everybody? M-O-R-D-E-C, H-A and I. This is what the king commands, and you should not despise. M-O-R-D-E-C, H-A and I, Mordecai. Mordecai. Forever let me hold my head up high, 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 high. On that swing up on that day, that 50 on the high. I'm M-O-R-D-E-C, H-A and I.
Well, no sooner had Amon forlornly returned to his house after the most abhorrent experience, when he was whisked away by the palace guards who escorted him to Esther's second private banquet.
I'm late for a very important thing. I must be late an hour or so because I was looking around and something came up. I'm late.
Duck-headed and breathless, David entered the room to discover the king counseling his darling wife.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I want this to be such a happy evening, but
What is it, my darling? What's wrong?
well, if you must know, I fear that my people have been betrayed and are about to be destroyed.
What? What kind of person would be such a horrible thing, my love?
What kind of person? I'll tell you, my lord. A stupid, callous, nasty snake vexed by sons of Moses. That's it.
Stupid, callous, nasty,
Yes, my lord. Let me explain. When Haman came up to you, King said he had a plan. You did to him your signet ring and off with it he ran. But instead of sending round, he just let the box of his. He went about to now wipe out my own people for Jews. He's a stupid, callous, nasty cynic vexed by sons of Moses. He wants to clear your loyal so he could beneath our noses. But then he fell for envy of his kingdom and roses. Cause he's a stupid, callous, nasty cynic vexed by sons of Moses. When you made him in cheap pleasure, his head was in the sky. Until we became so upset with my stepdad Mordecai. So now I think if you came up, please don't let him do. The evil that he has designed to wipe out all the Jews. He's a stupid, callous, nasty cynic vexed by sons of Moses. Kill the stupid, callous, nasty cynic vexed by sons of Moses.
Well, children, you can imagine the rest of the tip. Haman